Our work session, and we have a very full room today, so many guests, and let me just thank you all for joining us for this busy work session this morning. As always, I just ask if you don't mind making sure your devices are on silent. With so many of us being in the room, it's so easy for us to get distracted. We're going to go ahead and get started. We've got a full agenda today, and Dr. Mackey will be along in a few minutes. But as always, will you pray with me? Father, we're so thankful for this opportunity to gather and to work on behalf of the students and parents and educators in our state. We're so grateful for those, Father, in the room today who've worked diligently in their roles, individual roles, and then collectively collaborating on behalf of our courses of study, for those deans that will follow later today that have been working in the colleges of education. We're eternally grateful for all that they are doing to help us prepare our future teachers in teaching reading, Father, to our children, which we believe is so incredibly important. Father, I'm so thankful for my board members individually today, Father. Each one of them is uniquely gifted. Each one of them carries a unique burden, Father, for their district and for the children and the parents in their district. And I just ask you, Lord, to bless the work of our hands today. Father, I pray that we would step into wisdom's call. Lord, as your word so beautifully guides us, Father, that it's our responsibility and our roles to seek wisdom and understanding, and we come before you first today, Father. Place this agenda before you today, Father. Commit ourselves to serve you today. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, board members, Dr. Mackey and I talked after the agenda was developed. This is a really robust agenda today. We've got a lot on our plate, and so as I discussed with Mr. Markham and with Mr. Swan, we decided to invite our out-of-town guests and friends from our universities to come after lunch and not have them wait through our morning presentations. We decided it would be best to time block our day. So the first 3 items on your agenda we've committed to work through before lunch. So just wanted you to know that, board members. That's how the day sort of lined up. And because you've had the materials now since last week to go over and hopefully start to develop questions, the presenters, and there are a great many of them here with us today, and I want to say thank you again for coming. The presenters would like to move through their presentations, and then we'd like to take our questions at the end if we could, because these are large. So with that, I am going to start with the science education course of study. I want to thank our superintendent, Dennis Coe, for leading this group. Dennis is superintendent out of Dothan, and a veteran teacher and educator, and has really worked hard with this group to bring this course of study presentation to you today. So I'm going to ask you to come forward. Mr. Stevens, was there anything that you wanted to add as we begin?
I just want to say thank you to the entire committee, Dr. Coe, and each of our educators who were committed to this work, and to the board for allowing them to come and present this amazing body of work. And thanks to our staff, of course, who helped with the process, but we could not have done it without the work of our educators. So, Dr. Coe.
Thank you, Sean. Let me start out by thanking whoever it was for appointing the people on the committee. I think the second best piece of work that's been conducted in this process One being the end product that we're gonna present to you today. But in addition to that was the selection of the committee. I'd like to, if you would, if you're served on the science committee, please stand. I can't say enough about these folks. You probably recognize many of them are from your hometowns and your districts, and I'll tell you, I've never been associated with a harder working group of people. Dr. Mackey included would pop in time to time and check in on us and the progress that we're making. But I want to start out by thanking everybody here that was on the committee for the hard work that they did and the diligence that they saw to bringing this through. Also want to thank Sean and all of our folks from the State Department. I mean, we've got numerous people with the department that helped guide us through this process. It's been going on for a year now. And so just tremendous support from the department. You've got great people here that help facilitate us and keep us moving in a productive manner. So thank you to everybody that was involved in that. Just to kind of open up to let you know what we used as resources in developing the proposed course of study that you have in front of you. You'll see several things displayed today, the resources that were utilized in this process. One of the benchmark objects that was used was the framework for K-12 science education. You'll also see input from the Council of State Science Supervisors. You've got several items there as far as the National Science Teaching Association documentation, science and scientific and engineering literacy components, as well as like American Red Cross and the Alabama Science Safety Standards. So all of those things were taken into consideration as we work through this process. Our committee, of course, many of them are here today. I think the majority of our committee is represented here today, and I can't say again how thankful I am. I think their presence here should attest to you how proud they are of the product that we're presenting to you. Again, this is presented by people from Alabama, and these are people that they're born and raised here, that are in the classrooms every day. If you look at our committee, what composes a textbook, or not a textbook, but course of study committee, we have one elementary teacher, one secondary teacher in each of the 7 congressional districts. We have 4 members from the state at large. There are three members of the committee who are members of higher learning. And also we have 7 members appointed by the governor. Now those 7 members aren't teachers, they're not education practitioners, they're members of the private sector that have expertise in science. And so they have been invaluable in providing us with information and resources. How do these standards affect our workforce, and how do they affect our job market? So we're we've got good representation from everyone in this committee. Our vision and goals through this entire process, I can't emphasize this enough as a science teacher. I started out as a science teacher, and the rest of the group will echo my sentiments, and we put this in as a goal to emphasize the teaching of science every day to every student in every grade. Sometimes we get too focused on particular subject areas, but we feel strongly that has to be at the forefront of our instruction. Our children need to be exposed to this content every day, every grade, every student. So this information presented to you today provides a foundational knowledge and learning progressions that are coherent. We talk about vertical alignment, so we look at how the standards play out from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. So how do we put in a sequence those things that they need to know and progress through their education career with the end result of having that knowledge that we want them to have. So in addition to that, we want to demonstrate increasingly rigorous standards. So as we progress through the grade bands, Naturally, the work should get more rigorous as they age and get into the higher grade bands. And then lastly our goal is to develop scientifically literate citizens. So we want, in addition to that, to have them also be college and career ready graduates. So those are the goals that we had in mind as we started this work. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over. I've got 3 individuals here that are going to break up the rest of the presentation. Let me just introduce Patrice Marbury right here. Is a teacher at Calera Middle School, Shelby County Schools. We have Allison Hobbs. Allison on this side, Wilsonville Elementary School, also Shelby County Schools. And we have Winnie Dunn. Winnie here is a physics teacher, I believe, at Enterprise High School and Enterprise City Schools. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over, and we will let Ms. Patrice take up.
Okay. Good morning. Thank you for having us here. With our conceptual framework, the Alabama Science Committee and Task Force began creating the conceptual framework with a global perspective, which is represented by the presence of the globe. In the core of our design, each domain of science is interconnected and moves through each of the standards, which are built on embedded dimensions of disciplinary core ideas, which we also refer to as DCIs, science and engineering practices, and cross-cutting concepts. All students will take the knowledge embodied in the standards when they reach toward their future goal, represented by the outstretched hands, whether they are career, college, military, or any other future goal as depicted in the vision with the hats. Each of the 4 science domains address a specific disciplinary core idea. Core ideas are the organizers of the content in each of those grade levels. The 3 domains, Earth and Space Science, Life Science, and Physical Science, are represented by the puzzle pieces in the center of the conceptual framework. The core idea of the domain of engineering, technology, and application of science are integrated into the content standards of the other domains, which is graphically represented around the disciplinary core ideas. So you'll notice the black around the puzzle pieces in the middle. The smaller gray gear graphic is used to represent engineering, technology, and application of science, not only on our conceptual framework, but also throughout our document, and will indicate each of the engineering standards across the grade bands. Each standard is developed from the 3 dimensions of science, which include disciplinary core ideas, cross-cutting concepts, and science and engineering practices. Each of the domains displayed over the yellow hammer state of Alabama. The puzzle pieces show the interconnectedness of each of the science domains. Earth and Space Science is represented by a rocket. The atom express physical science, and life science is symbolized by our state insect, the monarch butterfly, which is an endangered species. The domains begin in kindergarten and continue through high school, with concepts increasing in depth and rigor as students focus on deeper understanding and application of content. All Alabama students should be provided an opportunity to achieve scientific and engineering literacy from a global perspective, which is what's indicated with the image of the Earth.
Good morning. The structure of the standards is based on the 3 scientific domains. 2023 Alabama Course of Study Science incorporates the 3 dimensions around which K-12 science and engineering education are built. From the framework, several guiding principles underlie both the structure and the content of the framework. These principles include young children's capacity to learn science, a focus on core ideas, the development of true understanding over time, the consideration both of knowledge and practice. These include Dimension 1, describing the scientific and engineering practices where they're applying the science that they are learning. Dimension 2 describes the cross-cutting concepts which apply content across science disciplines. And Dimension 3 describes core ideas in the science disciplines and the relationships among science, engineering, and technology. In order to facilitate students' learning, the dimensions must be woven together in standards curricula, instruction, as well as assessments. When students explore particular disciplinary core ideas from Dimension 3, they will also engage in practices articulated in Dimension 1 and 2 and should be applied and help to make connections to the cross-cutting concepts in Dimensions 2. In the conceptual framework, the 3 dimensions are depicted by the concentric circles around the 4 science domains. In 3-dimensional structure, great emphasis, time, and effort was made in explaining the background and foundation of all the standards. This enhancement will allow first-year and new-to-science teachers to be able to easily understand and comprehend the standards and essence of which they are to be able to teach. Keywords such as including and examples are used within the standard to further clarify what should be taught and what students should be able to understand and gain through the instruction.
The current course of study was a simple numbered list of standards. The proposed course of study uses a table format to organize the standards. The colors mirror the national framework to identify disciplinary core ideas in the light orange, science and engineering practices in the blue, and cross-cutting concepts in the green. Each disciplinary core idea has further been broken down into core content, highlighting the main focus area. Within each focus, the standards are arranged in a logical progression for the benefit of novice teachers. The cross-cutting concepts are also now explicitly identified for each standard. This is an example standard from high school anatomy and physiology. Standard 4 leads a group of standards on the muscular system. Notice the main standard, you have the word including, and it's highlighted there in green. Compared with underneath, you have examples, and it's in italics and it's highlighted in yellow. The committee differentiated between optional and required information by using the word example to refer to ideas that may be incorporated, and the word including to address material or ideas that must be addressed with instruction.
Grade 6 Earth Systems disciplinary core idea was split into 2 separate disciplinary core ideas. One, Earth Systems Energy and Weather, and Earth Systems Materials and Processes. The original core idea was deemed to be too large for a 6th grade learner, so we divided those into 2. The high school physical science course contains content that is at a higher level of rigor than that of an 8th grade physical science course. Chemistry and physics courses contain more specialized content-related information to their respective fields. The high school physical science course is a more general course in chemistry and physics content. Clarification statements were also included to indicate boundaries for the scope of required content.
So when we began to write these standards, all the educators, the whole committee, took into account what is developmentally appropriate content for students. So when we look at grades K through 2, we know that these students typically come to us with the use of their senses to understand science. These students are naturally scientists in their desire to want to learn more about the world around them, and they're curious and eager to learn more of that content. As the students begin to mature and develop academically, we move into grades 3 through 5, where they begin to develop skills to be able to reason on their own. And they begin to ask more sophisticated questions. And as they do so, they revise and extend their understanding based on their prior knowledge and the content that they are being given.
As Allison stated, we spent about the first 2 months getting together. researching developmentally appropriate content. I had a lot to learn when it comes to what a kindergartner can do or a fifth grader can do. So we met in vertical teams to discuss how learning should progress in science. As we make it to the middle grades, the science and engineering practices paired with content focused on developing critical thinking skills and those skills needed for conceptual problem solving. In high school courses, these standards push our students to use science and engineering practices in more complex ways. For example, in addition to just identifying a relationship on a graph, students should be able to propose changes to a system that would produce a desired outcome. Additionally, the focus can now shift to a subatomic or subcellular level because we've built that content knowledge through the grades. So for example, a high school student should be able to explain a chemical reaction by describing the interaction of electrons within that atom. All right, over the next 3 slides, we're going to show y'all some learning progressions from each domain, physical science, life science, and earth and space science. We wanted to note the grade bands because that's how we worked. So this one displayed now is about forces and Newton's laws. And we have 4 grade bands, but that doesn't mean that we're going to teach this in every single grade. So we'd like to note that the grade is listed at the top of the standard. So with this one, we trace forces and Newton's laws. As young as kindergartner, students are going to be able to describe how an object reacts to a push or a pull. When they move into 3rd grade, they can describe the forces of being either balanced or unbalanced. And y'all, that's crucial knowledge that they need to move into 8th grade where they will begin to describe Newton's laws of motion. Ultimately, they reach physics in high school, and they'll be able to describe and then calculate quantities related to motion that are caused by forces. Here's an example on life science, ecosystems, energy, and dynamics. We are going to ask students to progress from using data from observations about life, so what characteristics show us that something is alive, to developing and using a model to illustrate energy flow between abiotic and biotic factors in the ecosystem. Care was taken to ensure the material between grade bands was scaffolded and reinforced. This scaffolding is comparable to like rungs on a ladder. The content is added like building blocks through the years of school. And you can notice here that these are different grades. They didn't necessarily match the ones from before because it's going to show up, the DCI will show up in different parts depending on the content and where it's appropriate. Our last learning progression example is for earth and space science. Looking at our solar system, students progress from describing and predicting patterns of observable bodies like the sun and the moon, which our younger students would be familiar with, to evaluating and communicating information about much more complex ideas like planetary motion. As you can see, the committee focused on how the complexity of content and the science and engineering practices increases as students progress through grade bands, asking them to engage deeper in each step of their education.
So you can see the level of intensity that went into the development of these standards and the progressions that were involved in that. And again, just to go back and reiterate what our ultimate goals were and continue to be, is that we emphasize teaching of science every day to every student in every grade. That has to be at the forefront of what we do in the science continuum moving forward. So again, just using these to provide those rigorous standards that we all want to challenge our learners with, and also to ultimately develop those scientifically literate citizens. So in closing, the last thing that we talked about and we think would be a good suggestion in today's climate and in today's world. I don't think we've done this in the past, but it's been discussed here that maybe the department consider developing brief podcasts to put out with addressing basically 3 stakeholder groups. So a podcast designed specifically for district level leaders as to how do we roll the standards out? How do we use those? A separate podcast designed for the audience of our principals. So how do we monitor and how do we effectively oversee the teaching of the standards? And then the third stakeholder group would be specific for our teachers. Just a brief synopsis from the department. How do we use the standards? How do we read the standards? what are the expectations, and make sure that our teachers completely understand the difference between standards and curriculum. The standards that we're presenting to you here today are a minimal level of standards. They can, be added on to. We can make these even more rigorous at the local level, but what we're presenting to you are those at a minimal level. So we would throw that out as a final suggestion to the department. I think that would be well received, not only with our district level people, but also our teachers. So at this point, we'll be glad to entertain any questions you may have.
Board members, any questions for the group?
I just want to commend you all on the work, the layout. We start out with the disciplinary core, which is the idea, and then to look at the practices and the cross-cutting concepts, and then the clarification, because oftentimes things are so broad that people don't really understand, but when you clarify, it makes it more specific. And then I like where you had the concepts were developmentally appropriate. So it shows how you're going from kindergarten all the way up to high school. So I just want to applaud the committee. Let's give them a round of applause.
The document is very teacher-friendly, user-friendly, and as Dr. Richardson said, I think that it's evident that you all really put in a lot of time to see the progression. It's just commendable. And I really like the last statement you made about having the podcast for the district level leaders, principals, and teachers. I think it will definitely make a difference. Just excellent. We just cannot commend you enough. Just excellent.
And I love this. I love it. I love it. Love it. Being a science teacher myself.
That went through several iterations, and I'll tell you, I'm very pleased with the way that turned out in the end. So Charles Creel, Charles is in here. Charles would take the ideas that came out of the committee and actually put those to a visual component, and we're pleased with the way that turned out.
He did beautifully. You all gave him some good ideas too. It's just perfect.
Well, thank you all so much for traveling here today and for presenting before the board, and so please.
And I'll say one more time, these are the folks here, these are your people, these are our people.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great job. Great work.
I think I chose Dr. Coe when he accepted this. I owed him a steak dinner if he'd do it. So I guess now I have to pay up.
Gotta get it.
I told him I wondered how he felt about me, and then I really know how he feels about me now by putting me over. It's been a pleasure, and I can't say enough about this group. It's all about them.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Sounds like you don't owe it, you had so much.
I know.
I'm not sure you have to give it.
They're making buy it in the cafeteria. You read the cafeteria, he can go to
We do. They're outside and coming in now. Dr. Bailey, are they ready?
You just have another word.
Trust her to pick it more than
No.
she doesn't do it.
Can we do that while they're coming in?
Sure.
So while these gentlemen and ladies are coming into the room, come in and see if you can find seats. If we have to, we'll swap in and out as we have the subjects coming up. But let me remind board members and the public, so we hope to bring these to the board in December at the December meeting for adoption. The science course of study and each of these clusters you're about to hear from for Career Tech. If that happens, and then we will start the process for textbooks, which you all know that's later in the agenda today, but we've already begun getting ready to put textbook committees together for these subjects. But these will come to you in December for approval, subject to, of course, any questions today. But I'm sure our course of study folks for Career Tech are going to do a great job too. I'll entertain any questions. What I'll do is let them go ahead if that's okay, Ms. Gress, but then there are questions in the process, then I'll get that too.
Right, and you did say that before you came in that because the board had had these materials that we were going to let them present as they requested and then hold our questions to the end.
That's excellent. Thank you so much.
All right, gentlemen, please proceed.
And lady.
Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. I did not see you. You were
I'm trying to hide
chestnut.
some.
I apologize.
I don't have this many people at my
Superintendent
workstation.
from
If I
Washington,
pass out, just
thank
let me
you.
go.
If you pass out, somebody from Health Sciences is in the
No.
room.
Good morning, Dr. Mackey and State Board members. My name is Lisa Connell, and I'm the superintendent in Washington County and the chair for the course of study for our arts, audio, visual technology and communications, health science, and human services. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you today. In January, we began working on writing new courses of study for the arts, audio, visual technology and communications, health science, and human services clusters. Educators and business industry professionals from across the state came together each month to work on this project. The map is not up, but I think it will be in the presentation. Yes, thank you. As you can see, the map shows the areas across the state of Alabama that were represented for each subject area. We had a great group in each subject area, and these individuals have worked very hard and have given up 2 to 3 days a month out of their busy schedules to help finish the project. My educational background spans many different areas, but before becoming the superintendent, I was a career technical counselor. I didn't teach in any of the clusters that are represented today, but this was a great learning experience for me. But their amount of knowledge from the educators and on their subject matter, as well as the professionals in the industries that possess the same knowledge and with the knowledge of being in careers in their fields, was again a great experience and learning experience for me. All of these committees have the goal of providing courses that will prepare our students for careers in these 3 clusters. In my role as a career technical counselor, I worked as a bridge between our technical instructors and our local colleges, post-secondary career technical instructors, and businesses. The educational requirements and critical thinking skills required and taught in all of these courses are the same ones that our post-secondary institutions and employers are looking for in their students and employees. They want students and employees who understand the importance of these skills and want to move forward and advance in these fields. I can't say enough about Ms. Kathy Jones and the team from the State Department for the wonderful job they did organizing and guiding the committee on tasks that needed to be completed. Names are a daily struggle for me, so there's no way that I could thank everyone from the State Department for keeping me on track and putting forth the extra time it takes to keep me doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But I do want to give a special thank you to Ms. Cornelius because she learned to recognize, I think, the deer in the headlight look of not knowing where I was supposed to be. So I thank her because she would just kind of gently guide me where I needed to be. The team of educators and industry professionals were wonderful to work with. I was reminded that it's okay to agree to disagree and continue to work together to get a solution that everyone is satisfied with, because the goal is the best education for our students and making sure that they leave us prepared to be productive citizens in our community and workplaces. When you look at the standards and see the presentations, I know that you will recognize the hard work that was put into preparing these standards for our students so that they get the knowledge, skills, and workforce experience needed to transition from high school to the next phase of their lives. In conclusion, I want to make sure that the State Department team members, the educators, and the professionals know how much I appreciate this entire experience, including the outstanding work ethic and positive attitudes displayed by everyone. Since coming into office in January of 2021, our county has survived 2 hurricanes, 1 tornado, pandemic, teacher shortage, and a bus driver shortage, in case that hadn't made it here yet. The experience has been the second best since being in office, second only to the 94-year-old veteran who got his diploma. So I thank all of you for a job well done, and again, I appreciate the experience. At this time, I would like to turn it over to our first group, which are our health science representing, we went back to art, I'm sorry, to our art and audiovisual technology and communications.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Ken Thomas, and I'm the chair of the Fine Arts Division and choir director at Enterprise State Community College.
And my name is Dr. Michael Roy. I'm a music teacher and fine arts department chair at Foley High School. And we want to welcome you to the Arts, Audiovisual Technology, and Communications new and improved CTE course of study.
In a world where creativity knows no bounds, the conceptual framework for arts, AV technology, and communication brands the cluster area as a vibrant environment of imagination and cutting-edge advancements, offering 3 programs for future careers. The graphic representation of color theory and the map outline of Alabama serves as a model for budding artists and instructors to envision the career landscapes and creative expressions, visual communication, and captivating entertainment. The text displayed in the inner ring of the graphic is the cluster name, Arts, AV Technology, and Communications. The outer ring of text contains the 3 program areas, Visual Arts, Entertainment and Media, and Printing Technologies. All are contained within the geared unifying Visual Arts, Entertainment and Media, and Printing, which emphasizes their connections to each other within career and technical education. The half-tone dot design represents an old technology merging with new technology to create programs that will transform Alabama's future workforce.
This career cluster is the future of Alabama. The updates, advancements, and creation of courses made by the course of study team have created a platform that will provide students with the necessary skills to succeed within the arts, AV, and communication industries. This cluster is designed to teach students how to tell our story as Alabamians. The makeup of the Arts, AV Technology, and Communications Committee included 12 team members who are associated with high school instruction, 4 team members who are associated collegiate educators, and 2 governor's appointees from across our great state. The entire group represents more than 300 years of instruction and work experience, with the vast majority being in the content area. We were a group of creatives, artists, musicians, filmmakers, broadcasters, designers, and educators who are passionate about the work we were doing and how it will impact the future of Alabama. We were split into several teams for the purpose of creating content, but there was great synergy in the room, and we worked collaboratively during the entire process. From bouncing ideas to focusing standards, we were an all-star team. Everyone involved commented that this process has made them a better instructor and or administrator, and that they gained a greater appreciation for the amount of research, thought, and work that goes into creating a new course of study.
One of the challenges we faced was to make sure that these standards will stand the test of time. Since technology is constantly in work, as the committee members work, we all have the foresight to happen with technology. These standards could stand strong as being both relevant and applicable within the industry. Alabama Skills USA is a career technical organization, a student organization that is associated with arts, AV technology, and the communication cluster area. At present, 5 of these contests are offered to students at both district and state competitions. With the adoption of this new course of study, it is very likely that audio-radio production will be added in the coming year.
The industry students experience through this cluster are very competitive. We believe utilizing Skills USA competitions as a platform for students to compete will provide incentives, increase passion, build confidence, and help students build connections within the industry. This new course of study has 3 programs with updated names. The purpose of the redesign was to make things cleaner and more concise to help principals, counselors, and teachers guide their students through the CTE process. The programs are Entertainment and Media, Visual Arts, and Printing Technologies, with 24 courses that contain offerings new to Alabama to include audio production, technical theater, and screen printing.
This program provides students with opportunities to become CTE completers. Both the Entertainment and Media and Printing Technology programs have a single foundational course that provides students with baseline information so that they may dive more deeply into future, more focused courses and careers. The committee believed that the Visual Arts program is so unique that having 3 levels of each course was the best plan of action to prepare students for a future in visual arts careers. This slide provides a sample of the salaries and areas that students might pursue as a career option within the Arts, AV Technology, and Communications cluster. Approximately 25,000 people are employed in Alabama in this cluster area, and the opportunities continue to grow. We would like to point out that although the industry total in this area is not as large as some other clusters in Alabama, there are still many annual openings available to job seekers with proper credentials and skills set. It is also important to mention that salaries within these careers do not paint a full picture due to the freelance gig economy.
This slide represents the progression of rigor that has been implemented throughout this new course of study. Each course series is intended to take the student into ever-increasing depths of knowledge and mastery of skills. Our example here is for the audio production program. This example represents the movement from the foundational course, which creates a base understanding of sound equipment. Audio Production 1 will take background knowledge and apply it to a controlled recording studio-like environment, allowing opportunities for experimentation, errors, and exploration without the stresses of a live setting. Students will gain a greater understanding of how audio equipment is used and how to manipulate audio for professional recordings. These skills are put to the test in Audio Production 2. This course will take previously learned skills and apply them to the live audio environment where anything could happen, and students must constantly adapt, diagnose, and quickly troubleshoot for the success of the project. The team is very excited about the possibilities this new course sequence will open for our students and our state.
This slide provides a snapshot of the increasing rigor within the animation program. In Animation 1, students begin by researching and studying how to bring personality to a character. In Animation 2, the students focus on the development of their own characters and bring them to life by creating expressive features and poses that provide them personality. In Animation 3, students close the loop by writing a script to tell a story and make the interaction with other characters take the interactions with other characters to a new emotional level for the viewer. Career readiness indicators are also very important to our students and instructors. The Arts, AV Technology, and Communication clusters is fortunate to have many certifications available to them. For example, Adobe Creative Suite is an industry standard that offers exams and certification to fit within almost every program. Some of the others are more specific to their respective program. For instance, the FAA Part 107 is of course very specific to our drones courses. Similarly, Certified Professional Photographer is aimed squarely at students taking photography courses.
For our final slide, we want to show you a few images of our students in the process of learning and skill development in advertising design, animation, audio production, broadcasting, film production, technical theater, and photography. After all, this is what it's all about.
Thank you for your time this morning. We hope that we have given you a good overview of the newly designed course of study for our cluster area. We will be happy to answer any questions you may have pertaining to this area and the development of this new course of study document. At this time, I will turn it over to the next presenters.
Oh, wait a minute, I had one.
I'm sorry.
Y'all were fast, you're trying to get out of here. I just have a quick question. I know it said you choose one of the 3 areas. Do the kids get an opportunity to sort of look into each of those opportunities to see what it entails before they jump into it full force? Meaning, they might think entertainment sounds great, but then all of a sudden printing just grabs their interest. So is there a preliminary, sort of like a taste testing, the taste of AV?
The course, so we created there is a middle school course that kind of gives a blanket of the entire thing that will allow them to kind of get a glance at all of those.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear. All right, thank you kindly.
I like the progression of rigor, and then the part you had about the career readiness indicators, because we know we can focus on that. It's good for the instructors to know how it ties in.
On this map, is that the current map?
That's the map of that with all the stars of the people on this committee from this event.
Okay. And the legend says that it's school board districts.
No.
That are highlighted by
School board districts. It's a district about the time they were appointed.
It's congressional.
I think if you're looking on the first slide,
It's the second half.
so there's 2 slides on there.
Right. I'm looking at the second one.
So you look at the one where Limestone County is split. So those are the old districts when the committee was put together, but they're not necessarily the districts you're representing because they've been reorganized.
Okay.
We still got Edgewater County.
We're going to end up with we're going to end up with a really odd situation this time because the congressional district 2, we've had to set committees, but now that's been changed in court, so they're always a little bit off. Yes, ma'am.
All right. It's a beautiful document.
I did want to say I attended the Skills USA conference in Atlanta last year and had a tour and saw many of these areas, and I couldn't believe what our students were exposed to. It was really something way more advanced than I ever imagined for high school students. So I'm very excited that they will have these opportunities at Skills USA.
Thank you.
Y'all may run now.
Good morning. My name is Anthony Caldwell. I'm a former health sciences instructor at Auburn High School, and I am a current coordinator of dual enrollment for Southern Union State Community College in health sciences.
And my name is Lee Robertson. I am a health science teacher with Lincoln High School with Cuyahoga County Schools.
The conceptual framework is a graphic representation of the various aspects of health science career clusters. It illustrates multiple health career pathways, including therapeutic services, diagnostic services, health informatics, support services, and biotechnology research and development.
The symbols within the cog reflect some of the most high-skill, high-wage, and in-demand careers within the healthcare industry, including medical laboratory services, medical imaging, nursing, veterinary services, dentistry, pharmacy, sports medicine, emergency medicine, and all physician specialties.
The colors of the graphic, maroon, navy, and medical white, were chosen from the cluster's Career Tech student organization, HOSA Future Health Professionals. These colors represent compassion, loyalty, and purity of purpose, which are essential characteristics of healthcare workers who focus on the social, mental, and physical well-being of the patient.
The Health Science Course of Study Committee has been working for the past 10 months to create a course of study that reflects the current and future educational needs of Alabama students. Our committee consisted of secondary and post-secondary educators and business and industry representatives. We are proud of the body of work that has been written, and it has been an honor and an exceptional experience to be on this committee.
The new course of study includes courses and standards that are aligned with current medical practices and industry-recognized credentials, and prepare students for entry-level positions in the healthcare industry.
All secondary health science courses fall under a division of healthcare: therapeutic services, diagnostic services, health informatics, support services, and biotechnology research and development. The Foundations of Health Science course is required prerequisite for all health science program courses. This course will prepare students in the areas of anatomy and physiology, medical terminology, communication, safety, ethics, and technical and employability skills, ensuring that students have a strong foundation for further study in the health science program.
We are excited about the new course offerings for middle school that introduce students to healthcare professions, health science principles, biotechnology and research, medical and laboratory terminology, and genetics.
The needs of the community influence the program curriculum. Business and industry needs are reviewed annually by the CTE director, program teachers, and the program's advisory committee to ensure that program instruction is closely aligned to the local workforce needs. This information is obtained through surveys, advisory committee discussions, and labor workforce data.
This slide represents a few of the most common high-demand healthcare careers in Alabama. As science and technology advance, new careers emerge and others become obsolete. Health science educators and industry partners work together continuously, anticipating and planning ways to meet future employment needs. After all, today's students are the healthcare providers of tomorrow.
Our Career Tech student organizations are an integral part of CTE instruction. The Health Science Career Tech student organization, HOSA, Future Health Professionals, has a mission to empower its members to become leaders in the global health community through education, collaboration, and experience. HOSA's members are found all over the globe, not just the United States.
HOSA actively promotes career opportunities in the healthcare industry through hands-on learning projects and student competitions that teach leadership skills, confidence, and professionalism.
HOSA membership is available for middle school, high school, and post-secondary students. For the 2022-23 school year, Alabama HOSA had an all-time high membership of 12,104 members, making it the fourth largest cluster internationally.
The state of Alabama needs skilled healthcare workers. Out of the 91 total healthcare occupations, 33% are considered high-wage, in-demand jobs with an average entry-level salary of over $46,000 and an average yearly salary of $61,831.
The mean salary for the top 10 occupations is just over $70,000, with approximately 15,000 job openings each year. These statistics further validate the need for rigorous health science programs in the state of Alabama to fuel the pipeline of future health professionals. We are committed to educating Alabama students so that they have the necessary skills to return to their communities as healthcare workers. I can personally see how the CNA program at my school has made a difference in helping to alleviate that CNA shortage that we had post-COVID in nursing homes and hospitals in our area.
All health science instructors are required to hold a valid healthcare license in addition to a professional teaching certificate to teach health science courses. Our instructors are registered nurses, physical therapists, nurse practitioners, respiratory therapists, athletic trainers, and paramedics with years and even decades of work experience.
The new course of study features 21 courses with content that has been streamlined to reflect the educational needs of the growing workforce. New standards are aligned with national healthcare standards and include additional math and literacy components with an emphasis on measurable outcomes.
The middle school curriculum offers 3 courses for students in grades 6 through 8. These expanded course offerings are excellent complements to the secondary curriculum. Health science course content standards increase in rigor as the student progresses through the program. The required prerequisite course, Foundations of Health Science, introduces students to a wide range of health careers and provides students with a solid foundation in the healthcare field. Concentrator courses provide instruction beyond the introductory level with in-depth content knowledge and skills in a specific area of the healthcare industry.
Capstone courses allow students to expand on their experiences and education in the concentrator course through work-based learning. This three-tiered design is meant to afford equal opportunity to all health science students in Alabama, while simultaneously allowing for each LEA's unique situation with regard to equity and access.
When writing the content standards, we were intentional about giving students a firm base of knowledge before moving to skill development. In this example, students moved from identifying and describing common infectious organisms to demonstrating and explaining methods of molecule and protein isolation. The increase in skill development and rigor are obvious as the student progresses through the curriculum.
The health science cluster includes one comprehensive program, allowing LEAs the ability to develop and structure a course sequence that meets the needs of their community. Teachers can develop a course sequence that will prepare students for a specific career in the healthcare industry. For example, students in the health science program that prepare students to be athletic trainers, they could offer the following sequence: Foundations of Health Science, Sports Medicine 1, Sports Medicine 2, and any of the 3 capstone courses: CTE Lab in Health Science, Career Pathway Project in Health Science, or Health Science Internship.
Students are given the opportunity to earn a credential in the healthcare field. A credential may serve as a gateway to employment and as a stepping stone to advanced education. Last year, health science students earned nearly 1,900 industry-recognized career readiness indicators in different areas and specialties.
Many of our health science students use the credentials they earn in our program to work in the industry, earning income while pursuing a post-secondary education. For example, being a basic life support instructor enables students to teach CPR for hospital employees, an ambulance service, a private medical and dental practices, since healthcare employees need to be recertified every 2 years in BLS.
As healthcare professionals, we are honored to have had the opportunity to write new courses and standards and appreciate your support of this work. Do you have any questions?
Well done.
Well done.
Excellent. Very well done.
Great progression in the career readiness standards.
Sure.
Thank you
Thank
for the
you.
indicators.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to turn this
Turn
over
it
to
over
our
to the
next
next presenter.
Let me say one thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Local rural hospitals especially are really struggling for
Absolutely.
employees. So this could be a way to help bridge that gap.
Absolutely. Yesterday, I had 2 students from previous years, I think one was 2 years ago, one was 3 years ago, text me, hey, I want to get in the hospital. They tried going to school for a little while, or they tried working over here for a little while, and now they want to go into the hospital. So my contact, I text them, got them their applications, and they'll be interviewed. They're like, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please send us more, please send us more. So last year, I personally certified 35 CNAs.
Oh, wow.
So out of that 35, I know at least half of them are working somewhere and helping to alleviate that shortage.
They're going to be RFP.
Most of them will go on to the LPN or RN program, or they may find another area of healthcare while they're working that they're interested in.
Sure.
Very rewarding.
So is there an LPN program again?
Absolutely, they are everywhere. Matter of fact, we've got one in Talladega. CAC is about to start in the Talladega area.
Okay.
So that's a great stepping
For a
stone.
little while there was not.
Well, we need them. We need them. So, so it has definitely, that is a new kind of emerging thing, a new pattern. And I am personally going to encourage my students to look at that, because that's a great stepping stone. You can go there, be working while you're getting your RN.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Great job.
Thank
Thank
y'all.
you.
I appreciate it. Come visit us. We'd love to have you. Go, get
afternoon. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Amethyst Rinyard, and I'm the Family and Consumer Sciences teacher at Chilton County High School.
And good afternoon. My name is LaTanya Dixon. I am the Nutrition and Hospitality Management Coordinator, as well as Assistant Professor at Alabama A&M University.
One of our tasks as a committee was to help design our cluster's conceptual framework. While it was difficult to bring all of our cluster together in one visual, we are very happy with the final result. As you can see, the family is at the center of our conceptual framework, just as the family is at the center of all that we do in family and consumer sciences. Behind the map of our state, a new day is breaking across Alabama as our students prepare to enter the workforce and bring their skills to families and communities across our state.
The Human Services Cluster creates professionals who design healthy human environments, educates parents and families to help them build a strong family unit, promotes financial health across the lifespan, and ensures individuals and families have access to and knowledge of nutritious food. Our goal as a committee was to serve these purposes and give family and consumer sciences teachers and students the tools to create a new generation of human services professionals.
Our committee was composed of talented human services professionals across diverse practice settings, representing family and consumer sciences teachers, post-secondary partners, and career tech administrators with a passion for and breadth of experience in human services programs.
Working with these professionals was both a pleasure and a privilege.
Our first step in revising the course of study was to look at the employment data for the cluster. Human services is such a broad umbrella that offers so many opportunities for our students. Using workforce data, we identified more than 75 careers in the cluster, with many of those falling into the high skill, high wage, and in-demand category.
As you can see, these careers span the spectrum from childcare providers to interior designers. Our challenge was to build strong and cohesive programs that will prepare students for this wide range of industry and post-secondary career options.
One of the tools that Alabama's human services educators and workforce partners use to prepare our students for these professions is FCCLA. Students who join this career technical student organization have the opportunity to compete in events such as nutrition and wellness, food innovations, focus on children, fashion design, and interior design. These long-term, in-depth projects are designed to be used in our courses as a way to engage students in project-based learning that will reach an authentic audience at our state and national leadership conferences. Through FCCLA, our students can try their hand at careers housed within human services.
Currently, FCCLA is one of the largest CTSOs in Alabama with over 11,000 members. We recently sent a delegation to Washington, D.C. to meet with politicians regarding the importance of FCCLA and career and technical education. The 2008 course of study approached the challenges posed by such a wide-ranging career cluster by offering a wide variety of courses across 6 programs. However, we felt that we could achieve this with more clarity and cohesion by reducing the overall number of offerings and building the strongest courses possible within fewer programs.
Both the education and human services worlds have changed a great deal since our last revision of this course of study in 2008. In revising this course of study to meet the needs of students and employers in 2023, we streamlined and refined our programs, incorporated more skills-based standards that give students opportunities to demonstrate their learning with hands-on activities, and look closely at the progression of rigor throughout each program.
We feel that our revision creates strong, viable, and defined programs that will assist CTE directors and family and consumer sciences teachers in meeting the local workforce needs.
In looking at the careers available to our students, we were able to categorize them by the specific skill set that our students will need when entering the workforce. From these discussions, we determined that these careers fell into 4 categories: nutrition and wellness, consumer services, clothing, textiles, and design, and family and community services.
These changes in programs are also aligned with the post-secondary opportunities available to our students. We wanted to create a clear path into further study and to the higher wage careers that come within post-secondary education.
Our new programs share a single foundation course, Family and Consumer Sciences. This course has been redesigned to give students a range of experiences in the human services cluster and investigate career opportunities in all 4 program areas.
While we reduced the overall number of courses offered, We feel that these programs offer LEAs flexibility without losing clarity of purpose. We have instituted prerequisites for certain courses to ensure that students progress through the program in a logical pathway that ensures that progression of rigor that we have built.
Our Nutrition and Wellness program utilizes courses written by the Hospitality and Tourism Committee during last year's course of study revision. These courses will be shared between both clusters and offer a wide variety of skills in food preparation and dietetics.
Consumer Services courses provide students with the skills for personal financial literacy and introduce careers in the consumer services industry. Students who have completed this program will be prepared for financial independence and continue their studies at the post-secondary level.
Clothing, textiles, and design brings fashion and interior design under one umbrella. Students may choose a variety of courses that give them a solid foundation in the principles of design as well as entrepreneurship.
The Family Studies and Community Services program gives students a background in child development, the challenges and opportunities of adulthood and aging, and the role of service providers in guiding families through crises and connecting families and individuals to community resources.
We feel that our revised course of study and program structure will better prepare our students to obtain industry-recognized career readiness indicators. CRIs are a key part of what we do in the classroom and keep our programs relevant to our workforce partners.
In each of our programs, we were conscientious about giving students a firm base of knowledge before moving to skill development. Students move from planning in the foundation course to preparing in the second course. Finally, in food science, students will analyze how different preparation and storage methods affect the nutritional value of foods.
Here we can see the same progression of rigor in our Family Studies and Community Services program. The first is from our foundation course. Students will outline the functions of family and community service professionals. Students move from outlining the roles of professionals in this field to demonstrating the skills needed in the profession to researching the specific agencies that provide services and employ those professionals.
In our clothing, textiles, and interior design program, we take the same approach when educating students on fashion cycles and trends. Students in the foundation course will look holistically at the trend cycle, then examine how specific designers influence the cycle, and finally, analyze the effect of marketing techniques on the fashion industry and consumer preferences.
In this example from our Consumer Services program, we begin with students developing a financial plan for an individual based on resources and financial goals. In consumer economics, students will simulate maintaining a budget for an individual or family. And finally, in family financial planning, they will be able to create and present a portfolio that demonstrates financial planning skills, including a personal financial plan, insurance options, retirement planning, and investment planning. Throughout the program, students have built the knowledge and skills necessary to engage in complex, real-world scenarios.
These standards are also in alignment with both industry and post-secondary standards and offer students the opportunity to create a portfolio of work that demonstrates their growth and workforce readiness.
We are so excited to get this course of study approved and in the hands of our teachers. Thank you for your support. This concludes our presentation. What questions do you have?
I wish that everybody would take the consumer services, budgeting, and I mean, it's just what every student needs to have. Instead of, a lot of times they learn that as they're out in the real world and they go, oh my gosh, I wish I had known about budgeting and all that.
That's actually part of why I became a family consumer science teacher, because I did not have those skills when I left the home and had to establish myself, and so that's part of why I do
Mom
what I
said,
do.
excuse me, dear, you gotta figure this out. Well, thank you.
I like the identification of the prerequisite skills and then foundational skills as you go through the progression. I think that's going to be very helpful.
And may I say one other thing, and I think reducing it from the 6 programs to 4 and 47, sometimes that's just overwhelming. So, and what you did is you didn't really eliminate it, you sort of reconfigured them, is that the way I understand it?
Yes, we took the best parts of all of those courses and tried to redesign them into something that will make a lot of sense to teachers, to
In
CTE
today's
directors.
world.
Exactly.
Okay, that's what I thought, thank you, I thought that was really good. Great job. Great job. Your committee did great.
Can I have them they did?
Yes.
Yes, please, have them stand.
All of them.
Yes.
great job.
Great job, Dr. Bagley.
Superintendent Cannell, I probably owe you dinner too. I
Yes.
said before you came in, no doubt about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All of us are here.
No, it's
Okay, board members.
Maybe they're talking to each other.
Oh, sorry, I apologize. I was just making sure that lunch was ready. We're now gonna break for lunch until 1:15, and then we'll meet back in this room. Thank you. Sir, I'm sorry?
Well, after seeing those large groups, I said, next time maybe I need to bring my whole crew too. We got a little jealous. Okay, good afternoon. I'm Carolyn Jones. I'm the state textbook coordinator, and this is our chairperson, Mrs. Tracy Flowers. She is from Gadsden City Schools, and she traveled down today to be with us to assist in presenting the overview of the state textbook adoption process for career and technical education in the clusters cosmetology and barbering, education and training, and hospitality and tourism. And as I said before, we're going to be doing just a brief overview of the state textbook adoption process. You should have had a packet with the results in it. You also should have had the PowerPoint in there as well. So we're going to just briefly go over our process for that. And we're going to go ahead and get started.
So let me clarify, your assembly does not match. So what you've got under item 3 is actually, it's just a copy of it's accidental, but that's a copy of the COS they just presented.
Okay.
And the reason's because, textbooks is under the textbook law. So we can make it available electronically later, but it's all confidential. So we did not put it up. So the audience will not be able to see a lot of what you're going to get inside your packet. So these are the actual scored books. She's going to go through the process, and then you each have the actual scored textbooks. And remember, we cannot make these public until they are voted on by the board. It used to be we could not make them public until they were voted on by the board and the contracts have been executed by the governor. But we got that changed, so now they can be public after the December meeting, but they're not public until after the board votes in December. So, Dr. Jones, back to you.
Okay. Of course, we have the Alabama State Textbook Law, and it establishes the number of textbook committee members that we should have, which that number is 23. Of the 23, 14 members are appointed by the state superintendent, and of that 14, we should have 4 elementary teachers, 4 secondary teachers,
4 state at-large educators, and then 2 educators from the higher education component, and the remaining 9 members are appointed by the governor's office. Before we can start our the process, the textbook adoption process, of course, one of the first things is the revision of the career technical education courses of study. So that is what we follow behind the course of study group. Once they establish the standards and that's approved, then we start our process. So that is one of the first steps. Once that is determined, then the publishers will send a request for bids for CTE, so that goes out as soon as possible after the vote for the courses of study for the career technical education programs. Nominations are requested for the state textbook committee. Those nominations come from state superintendents. That information goes out to them requesting that they nominate different educators in their system that meets the subject area that we're reviewing for. Also, that information goes to post-secondary universities and colleges so that we can get our representations from there as well. So from that group, once I receive that information back, then we will create and appoint the state textbook committee. And of course, that comes through the state board as well. You guys approve that for us once we have that information and make sure that we've met the guidelines for the state textbook law. After that, textbooks, of course, after the committee, this is sort of all going on a little bit at the same time, but I'll start receiving from the publishers. They'll send me the materials that they're bidding on. They're asked to identify if that material is comprehensive material or if it's supplemental material that we're going to be reviewing. So I asked them to label that so that we are scoring that accordingly when we get that material. We do have public input during our process, but that comes at the end, of course, once the committee reviews, and then we'll have that time frame where if there's any speakers that want to come and if they have any questions or concerns about the process, they'll come before the board when the vote is scheduled, which hopefully that's going to be in December. The committee members will make the recommendations to the state board for your approval or rejection, and we're hoping that at the December's board meeting that we will be ready to vote at that time. Let me back up just a second and say that the interested people that would like to come and speak, if they are interested, they need to contact Ms. Nora Thorington, or they can email me, and I'll make sure that information gets where it needs to be. Okay, at this time, I'm gonna let Ms. Tracy take over.
Okay, so there were only 4 companies that submitted the bids for the CTE, and CTE is Career Tech Education Clusters for Cosmetology and Barbering, Education and Training, Hospitality and Tourism. And those 4 companies were Cengage, ICEB, Good Heart, and also Salvage Learning Company, LLC. Okay, and here we have the official bid categories for the publishers that was defined. There was only 2 categories for career tech education. It was a comprehensive textbook program, which is defined as one that meets the standards outlined in the 2022 Alabama course of study for cosmetology and barbering, education and training, and also hospitality and tourism. The second one was Career Tech Education, which was a supplemental textbook program, and it is used to support and extend the criteria, elements of a comprehensive textbook program. And also, a supplementary textbook program is not sufficient to be used as the primary resource for a particular grade or course.
And we wanted to emphasize that because sometimes publishers, they like to slide stuff in, but if it's not labeled comprehensive, that means that it cannot stand alone in the classroom. It's supplemental and is to be used in that manner. So I do ask them to specify, and if we have questions during the process about any material, we do reach back out to those publishers sometimes for clarification.
Okay. We will talk about the rating scale a little later in the presentation, but here we would like to note that after the math state textbook adoption, The board had some concerns about the previous rubrics and scoring scale used for the textbook adoption process, and wanted a little more consistent rubric for all area subject matters. In here, I'm gonna cover the tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 when it comes to the scoring of it. If you look at what's highlighted in blue, tier 1 exemplifies that it has to be 90% to 100%, and that means that it's recommended for board approval. If it's tier 2, approaching quality, it would be within the 80 to 89%, and that's also recommended for board approval. If it falls within the tier 3, which is not representing quality, that means that it has a 79% and below, and it is not recommended for board rejection. It is recommended for board rejection. So now we're gonna cover the guidelines for the review. For us, the review part, what we do is we review and document all evidence before deciding on ratings. We consider quality as well as quantity. We consider quantity as well as quality of evidence for each indicator. Also consider evidence of high quality as well as evidence of low quality. We do not feel compelled to weigh each indicator and criterion equally. We do not consider providing examples to be exhaustive or restrictive. And also, if evidence is lacking for an indicator, we flag it for further data collection.
And we've had to do that a little bit, like I said before, when we need some clarity on something. Sometimes, especially online material, sometimes we have to get a little bit more guidance as to what they're meaning for us to review and not to review. So we do stay in contact with those publishers to make sure that we're doing a thorough job of reviewing the material.
Okay, here is the definition of the ratings. There was 4 ratings, starting with 1 to 4. 4 exceeds the expectations, which means all material reviewed indicate high quality, none indicating low quality. If it's scored a number 3, then it meets the expectations. Most or all evidence indicates high quality, little to none indicates low quality. Materials may not be perfect, but Alabama educators and students would be well served and strongly supported with them. If it has a 2, that means that it partially meets the expectations. Some evidence indicates high quality, while some indicates low quality. Alabama educators would benefit from having these materials, but need to supplement or adapt themselves substantially to serve their students well. And then also a 1 indicates that it do not meet the expectations, which means little to no evidence indicate high quality. Most or all evidence indicate low quality. Material would not substantially help Alabama educators and students to meet the state's expectations for teaching and learning. Okay, so here we're gonna review the cover sheet. The next several slides will cover the CTE rubrics used by the state textbook committee. This slide shows the cover of what the form looks like. On the form cover sheet, it covers the title, the publisher, the grade level, the copyright, and then also the scores on there of which each one placed in. And then here for the, these are the components of the textbook review form. On each one of the sections, it represents different things. On section 1, that means that the items were non-negotiable. And then section 2 means that it aligned to Alabama Course of Study standards. Section 3 means that it's the classroom application. Section 4 is additional criteria of superior quality, and then you have the final evaluation. Okay.
On that number 1 where it says non-negotiables, that's not necessarily something the state textbook committee has to do, but when that material comes into me, we already have a set of standards for those publishers that they must adhere to before they even go through the process. So if it doesn't meet the non-negotiables, then we don't want it. I hate to just put it plain and simple, but so we give them a guideline and we list the things that they have to meet before we even get to the process, because I don't want to, the committee spends a whole lot of time reviewing this material. It takes weeks, months, so we don't want something coming in that we already know is not gonna meet the standards for Alabama.
Okay, this is a visual of section 1 and 2. In order for the same rubric to be used for each textbook adoption process, section 2 is treated as an addendum to the rubric. The rubric was the same for all committee members, but depending on which course for CTE, which is Career Tech Education, a committee member was, which they was viewing. Section 2 addendum will look different. For example, if there were a total of 50 standards, you would place 50 by the number of standards. If you only met 47 of the standards, you would place 47 by the number of standards met. To determine the percentage of the standards met, you would have 46 divided by 50, which would give you 92% of the standards met. Okay, section 3, it covers your classroom applications of the material. At the top you will see directives for reviewers using the rubric, as well as a definition of the ratings. Instead of focusing on the number of standards, section 3 focuses on the possible points. Here, ratings are equivalent to points. 4, which exceeds expectations, is worth 4 points. 3 meets expectations, is worth 3 points, and so on. Since 4 points is the highest possible value, there are a total of 51 items or indicators for classroom applications. You will multiply 4 times 51, which will give a score of 204. If the material received is 190 points of the possible 204, then to determine the percentage of points obtained, you would divide 195 points obtained by 204 points, which would give you 93%. Section 4 covers your additional criteria of superior quality. At the top, you will see directives for reviewers using the rubric, as well as definitions of the ratings. As with section 3, instead of focusing on the number of standards, section 4 focuses on the possible points. Therefore, you would use the same method used for calculations of percentage of points obtained that was used in section 3.
I want to add with this section 4, this is an additional criteria. We may, depending on the subject area, we may or may not have any additional standards there. Our specialists, prior to that, the committee, we determine if there are any other items that needs to be classified there that we need to review. For example, when we did ELA earlier, K through 3 was the only one that had additional components there. So you may or may not have something to score there. But I've talked to the committee about adjusting the scoring process accordingly if we don't have any additional material there to be reviewed. Standards there to be reviewed.
Okay, Career and Technical Education Review Final Evaluation Form. For the final evaluation form, you compile the results for section 2 through 4 to make a final recommendation for the instructional material under review. To determine the total of the material score, the reviewer will add the results of the section and divide it by 3. If there are no scores for section 4, then the reviewer will divide the results by 2, and then the total will go on the total line, and you will post your score and place it at the bottom of the tier percentage that it falls within. Okay, the textbook adoption review process for the textbook committee organization meeting, which was held on June the 6th, 2023, we conducted the oath of office, state textbook law review overview, duties of the state textbook committee organization, which includes the chairperson, the secretary, and subcommittee assignments. Also, on June the 7th, 9th, and the 12th, we had the publisher's presentation for the CTE.
And I do want to say that that's all done virtually. They used to come into the department to do that, but of course when we had COVID and we had to do everything virtual, we started doing presentations virtual, but I held on to that because I like that concept. My people can stay at their schools and not take a whole day trip to come down to do that, just to meet the publishers and for them to do a brief presentation to them. So we have kept the virtual component there for publishers' presentations, and that has worked well for my people since they have sometimes difficulty getting subs.
Let me interrupt you here. I think you're wrapping up here. Is that
We are.
true?
Yes.
We are on a hard stop, so I am just going to need for you to finish up, if you would, in about 30 seconds, and let the board move on with our schedule today. I'm sorry, but
Okay, that's fine. This slide just covers our outline of our meeting dates that you see there. Those are the meeting dates that we had. And of course, like we said, that we're doing our overview today. Next month, we hope that we're going to have a vote and we can move on and start getting that material to the schools. This is just this is what you have in your packet. This is just a sample. It looks just like this. It's color coded with the areas that for tier 1, 2, and 3. And bam, questions.
all right. Board member, do you have any questions at this time?
What time do we have to come back from lunch?
I think it's thorough. Everything was outlined very well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and that's just an example of what it looks like. That's not.
Yes, that's just an example.
That's what I said.
Hey, if you go back to it, I have Stevens Publishing Company.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And Flowers and Jones Publishing Company.
Oh,
Yeah, that's just.
I'm glad you clarified that. As I said, that's an example.
Yes.
Well, and I like the names. I kind of picked up on that.
Thank you so much, and I'm sorry to cut you short.
Oh, that's fine. We were wrapping up.
Okay, we will return from lunch at 1 and begin at 1:40.
Thank you.
everybody. Welcome back. We've got several board members that are on a tight timeline this afternoon, so we're going to go ahead and get started with the resolution to continue approval of our educator preparation programs. And we've got, do we have all 7 with us today?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, fabulous. So we brought you all together because we thought that this might be easier for us all to have a conversation and not just have you individually coming up. So if you don't mind starting here, just introduce yourself and give us your college. Oh, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Did you need to preface?
Yes, ma'am, please, if you don't mind. So,
sure.
Good afternoon, Mayor, and thank you, colleagues, for being here today. We were going to do a presentation, but as Ms. West said, in the interest of time, we're going to go that. But if you'll allow me, I'd just like to make a few comments before they begin with their introduction and tell you anything they'd like to tell you about their program.
Sure.
So, this is all in result of the passing of the Alabama Literacy Act. After that, after some time, each institution had Barksdale to come in and do a review of their programs. Barksdale provided some recommendations. And with those recommendations, there were things that were not aligned with their programs to the science of reading that they were asking that the institutions make adjustments with. So over the course of time, we have Dr. Amy Jones, who's with the Alabama Literacy Act, the Alabama Reading Initiative, thank you. She's been going around the state. She's actually traveled to every institution throughout the state to work with the literacy faculty there and to help to realign programs. They have done a Herculean job of going back, looking at their syllabi, looking at their progression of knowledge in the programs, looking to make sure they covered everything from beginning with oral language, going through phonological awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, looking at comprehension and writing. They have gone through the entire gamut. They have made sure that textbooks are aligned to the science of reading. They have taken their faculty through letters training, or either they are registered for letters training, and they are actually...
down, honey. I'm trying to write this down.
I'm going to take time to say, but I apologize. Okay, so breathe
What
now.
you're saying is vitally important, because
Yes,
I had a lot of the questions, and you're
And I was about to say, I was gonna
You're
ask you to
answering
tell
a lot
me.
of their questions.
Back up to the textbooks. My textbooks are aligned. Go ahead, a little bit slower.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, you're welcome. Okay,
She's
so
getting it in.
I want to hear it.
they have realigned their textbooks. So we took the NCTQ list where they had textbooks identified either as exemplary, acceptable, or unacceptable. And so each one of the programs have realigned their textbooks to either choose a textbook that's exemplary or acceptable as their main textbook. Their ancillary textbooks, they have realigned those as well, because NCTQ did a review of all of the supplemental textbooks that could be utilized. And so now through every program through Alabama, and all of our EPEPs, all of their textbooks are rated exemplary or acceptable. There are none that are not anymore. Then when we look at the progression, they have all taken their course through the sequence, so that candidates begin with the elemental most knowledge that students need to know in terms of reading, and progresses to the most complex knowledge that they must know in reading. They realign their field experiences, so that when candidates go out, they get an opportunity to not just go and say, we're getting field experiences in reading. Rather, they can say, we're going to work with these students on phonological awareness, whereas here we're going to work with these students on comprehension. And so they have targeted them and made them specific to the areas that their candidates will be working with students in the P through 12 schools. The last major challenge, as I was talking about with faculty, this is unheard of in Alabama. The way they have collaborated and worked together, it's amazing. It's a beautiful thing. Not just that, we have 3 reading conferences in Alabama this year. That's huge. And they are doing an amazing job. Not just that, they have bridged the gap between P through 6 and higher ed. So one of the things that Dr. Amy Jones is doing as well is having spotlight on reading with them. And when she does those focus sessions, she invites all of the EPP members. They come in and they have an opportunity to find out what's going on in the K through 6 arena with reading, as well as what they're doing. If they're looking for places for their candidates with spotlight schools in reading, she's helping them to identify those individual schools that have already been identified as spotlight schools, so that the candidates in our programs can benefit from the best opportunities to learn from those that are actually implementing it in practice. I just want to give that brief overview, and now I turn it over to our lovely.
While you were on doing it, so when I interrupted you, you were speaking about letters, and therefore I interrupted you, but that is one of my questions. How many, are the professors in the College of Ed, are they letters trained, or what, how many, and what's the percentage, or?
Yes, ma'am. Either they are already letters trained or they have registered for the next letters training. One of the things we thought was vitally important is to have them be allowed to go through a cohort group as higher education faculty so that they can be comfortable amongst their peers and they can talk about the different things they're observing in the various institutions. So we worked it out with letters for them to be able to go through as a cohort group, and they have a cohort group that they've registered for that's coming up. Some of them have already completed the training, but for those that have not had the opportunity, they will have the opportunity to go through that training.
Okay, and then Dr. Amy, are you all by your lonesome, or do you have a committee? Are you're working with?
Dr. Jones wasn't able to make it. No, she's not working by herself. Yeah, she's in North Alabama, yes, but she's not working alone. The beautiful thing is that each one of the higher ed task force had ARI members that participated on those higher ed task force groups, and they have been meeting virtually several times, and every time they meet, Dr. Jones' person has been on all of the meetings, but additional reading staff are on those meetings as well.
And we'll have additional information next month. We'll bring in the work that the higher ed task force has been working on, because our plan is to hopefully present some standards to the board. And so we'll provide additional information on the specifics of what Amy has done and what the entire group has done, the work that they've done.
Well, I knew who you were, but you kept
That's okay.
I thought, you mean all these years I've been calling her the wrong name? I know who she is, but then she kept doing, Vanna White, Dr. Amy.
We don't, I listen in Southern, I can't listen that fast. I might read that fast, but I can't
But
listen.
thank you, that's
And they're more
exactly my
advocate
question.
than all that.
Dr.
Hampton, I'm sorry. Dr. Hampton, one thing, I heard you talk about the letters training, but also through Dr. Jones, she's gone around with faculty and staff and done just ARI training and phonological awareness.
Yes.
I know at my institution we did that, and even with students.
Yes.
So I hope you all have that in your report also.
Absolutely. In the presentation that you all should have access to, that is in there as well.
Okay.
They have done additional trainings, and in addition to those trainings, not just that, some of the institutions are finding trainings even that are out of state that they have attended.
Okay.
They have listened to podcasts. They're including information from CEDAR, CEEDAR, yes, where they have the model videos in the science of reading that they're incorporating with their candidates. They also are recording videos themselves of best practices of them modeling for their students, as well as observing their students and giving critical feedback on those various elements of the science of reading.
Okay, but
Yes.
please have that in.
We will.
Absolutely.
And they can talk about their programs and the work that they've been doing, so.
Will we get this report?
When we get the report, yes, you said
That's on
we
the
will get a
screen.
copy of that.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
It's not in December yet, is it?
I didn't see it.
No, board members, you're gonna get updated formal presentation next month with the new standards. So some of your questions today may really get handled next month, but we needed to go ahead and have the deans with us today. So I think we'll move forward with that and know that you'll be getting a much more comprehensive report next month.
Yes, we'll have this PowerPoint, we'll get it uploaded today.
Okay.
My apologies.
Okay, so we'll start here and just introduce yourself and your college.
Okay, I'm Leslie Sheik. I'm the Assistant Dean for Accreditation and Assessment from the University of Alabama at Birmingham.
I'm Sandra Harrell, and I'm from Miles College. I am the Reading and Literacy Specialist there, and that's it.
No, it's more than
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Nicole Yvette Strange Martin, and I'm the Dean of the College of Education at Alabama State University.
Good afternoon. My name is Derek Davis, and I am the Assistant Dean for the College of Education at the University of West Alabama.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lydia Davenport, and I'm the Director for the Center for Educator Preparation and Certification Services at Alabama A&M University.
Good afternoon. I'm David Crow, the Assistant Dean for Assessment Certification at Auburn University.
I'm Morta Smith. I am from Athens State University. I am the reading specialist assistant professor in elementary reading and literacy classes.
Great. We thank you all for joining us today. We know you're very, very busy. Board members, what questions do you have for our deans?
I just thank you for your work because I know what you've been doing because I've been having to go through training. So I know it's been very extensive and it's going to help us in teaching the science of reading.
And I think one of the things, we were on a panel last night, and one of the things we were talking about is how important it is that the candidates to which those out in the field, either coming in for their field experience as student teachers, as candidates or potential new teachers, that they have this background knowledge and in the science of reading. So they're often running already, and they make a very highly effective candidate and potential hiree. So we thank you for all of that, because it's vitally important for our kids to get the best of the best, regardless of where they are.
I had a question about the collaboration with all of you. I know this was probably pretty unusual. I had not heard of the different colleges working together to align coursework. Has that been a positive experience for you?
I think it's been a positive experience. Coming from a background where I'm a reading professor, but I taught in a graduate reading program, so it just wasn't the science of reading. You're teaching reading specialists, you're teaching about reading and literacy curriculum. I think that it was very positive coming to Alabama from Washington, D.C., and being hit with Barksdale, introduced to Barksdale. It gave me a new perspective of being able to take it down to the foundation, back to the foundational level, because in my field as a professor, I was teaching PhDs how to be literacy coaches, whereas this one was so important because you're taking it back to step one, where you are looking at those candidates who are in those programs and being able to say, hey, phonics is not a person. Do you know who that is? And getting them to understand that. And I think that it was important because I know some of us talk more than others, but being able just to say, hey, what book, what are you using here? How do we use this there? What activity did you do modeling? And sometimes you'll finish a syllabus, and I know that one of my colleagues behind me, he would tell you that I was like, okay, we're done. And then I go talk to somebody and say, oh no, we're not done. We want to add things. So I think it was a very positive experience for me.
One of the things that we did at Alabama A&M is we reached out to several of the other institutions, and we discussed the textbooks, because we saw that there was several different lists of textbooks that were going around. And then several different websites and several national organizations have different textbooks. So we called several of the institutions to ask them what textbooks they were using, and we ordered those so that we could review them. We just didn't want to pick them because others had them. But we did do a review of those after talking with other institutions about what textbooks that they were going to be using in their courses. We shared syllabi with several of the other institutions, and they shared theirs with us, so that we could review and take a look and see if our alignment was in order and similar to the other institutions in the state. But it was a very rewarding experience because, like Dr. Strange Martin was saying, when you look at somebody else's, you go, oh, we may have left this part out. And we included school partners with ours too. We had reading specialists from the school districts that were serving on our committees. But it was nice to talk to another university and they share their syllabi in their reading courses, and you go, oh, we better go back and add one more thing. So that was interesting.
And I will say this, right at the end, I was very impressed with the work that the faculty did, and just with working with everyone. And so I had all of the course syllabi that we had to write for the report for. I had them reviewed again with NCTQ, and we got an A+ this time.
Fantastic.
So that was a huge growth from where we started.
I would like to thank the board for the support that they're giving to the Alabama Reading Initiative. So our candidates last Friday were trained in the dyslexia preparation course, simulation course, which was rewarding not only for the candidates who are part of this law, but we also had our secondary, our PE, our music, all the other groups come, and their debriefing was very meaningful. They got a lot out of it and thoughts about how to teach reading or how to incorporate reading in those other subject areas too. So it's been very good, and we're grateful for that training that you all are providing to us.
And I can say for us, it was a great, and it continues to be a great opportunity for professional development. I spent about 37 years directing the reading programs in a public school in Birmingham, as a matter of fact. And a lot of my time spent with middle and high school, but I started out in elementary, and so I was brought back to that. I was refreshed, and I got the letters training, and we are continually moving forward with our professional development for all of our staff and faculty.
I think the highlight for us, as everyone else mentioned, was the collaboration piece. To just see what other institutions were doing was eye-opening. You know, we have a fairly new reading person at University of West Alabama, of course, but we share some office with elementary and early childhood. And she's actually from Mississippi, so she was able to bring some things from Mississippi that were kind of profound in the area of science of reading. But the collaboration piece after Dr. Jones came and kind of connected the network with everybody, and then reaching out to other institutions to see what they were doing. It helped to build sounder assessments and those types of things as it relates to aligning, you know, your content. So we had reviews of our core syllabi and redacted a lot of information that wasn't directly related to the science of reading that came out. Now we're just waiting on the standards piece to kind of move it to the next step.
Anybody else want to share anything? Yes, ma'am. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, from our perspective at Athens State, the Barksdale report and the NCTQ really supported our understanding of what the needs were and what direction we needed to take. And I'm new to Alabama in a way. I'm from Florida, so we got our own problems down there. We won't talk about those. But starting at Athens, it really kind of having the science of reading be a focus and a clear construct that we needed to develop for all of our classes and our coursework and our syllabi really helped us with those specific kinds of recommendations through the Barksdale. It gave us insights that maybe I was new, so I was coming in with fresh eyes, but from the other folks, they were able to see things through a different lens. And I think that was incredibly valuable.
Thank you. Board members, anything you'd like to add?
I guess I would comment, I know that all of you responded to the Barksdale report. When we got the Barksdale report, some of us were surprised. And if I'd been the dean, I would have been very surprised. I actually met with the Athens State dean with the Barksdale report. And I think all of us are significantly satisfied with your response to that report, which sometimes was brutal. And honestly, it was resolved. And so we appreciate your recognition of that and your opportunity to learn even in Birmingham. And that's very reassuring to all of us, as we know the new teachers that come into our school system and their preparation are critical, because even the existing teachers can learn from some of their adaptation of the science of reading. If you adopt it, then our future for the next few years is very bright. Thank you very much, each of you.
Much appreciated. I'll just echo what's been said. Thank y'all for doing that. I will say, I think the board members know this because as you talk to folks outside and I talk to my colleagues in other states, I will tell you, not every state that's trying to do this work runs into institutions who are so cooperative and work well together. In many states, they don't talk to each other and they don't talk to their department or their state board. And so I think some of y'all remember, just a few years ago, we started inviting in the deans and certification officers every time there was a program. I think this collaborations, it's to me, it's exceptional, and I mean exceptional in the technical sense that most states are not having this kind of work, and it's going to move us. Well, I think we're already. I mean, I've even talked to my colleagues in other states, including one that borders us to the west, and they are still not getting this kind of cooperation of their institutions of higher ed. So, very much a thankfulness on my part to all of them and our staff, both in teacher certification, Bonnie Short back there and her crew, Amy Jones, who I think is a real person. I still only know her.
She's real.
But they do really, really good work. Next month, they've also been working on developing these new higher ed standards, which will replace the old standards. So those will come to you next month. And we didn't want to put all that, like delay these deans a month because the higher ed standards weren't quite ready. So we're bringing them on. So just as a statement of how the process would go, we would be recommending to you to approve. These are 7 programs you gave conditional approval to 18 months ago. We're recommending now that you go ahead and approve them because they've met the Barksdale standards. But they will also be implementing the new higher ed standards along with all the other institutions, assuming the board approves those, the much higher, more rigorous, focused science of reading standards, which we'll present to you in December for a vote in January, and then that process they'd actually would not be codified until March. I know that many of the institutions are kind of anxious about that because they want to make sure that that everybody's aware these are the standards for next school year. Even though I would say that many of them, I see them nodding, they already have moved to the new standards, but we need to make that official that we're going to have these new higher aligned to science of reading standards. So you'll see those next month, and there'll be a presentation on that too. Thanks to Dr. Hampton and Ms. Harris for leading this work.
When we were at NASB, one of the discussions was teacher certifications and the focus. And it's amazing, other states have no relationship between the school boards and teacher certifications and the College of Education. Sometimes it's a completely different agency, completely separate, and there is no continuity with the curriculum and the teacher certification programs. And I was amazed at how different some of them are. They have no relationship, a separate group, and sometimes private contractors that do that. So the relationship between us and the deans is so much better.
I agree.
You saw what I saw.
Yes,
I was shocked sometimes.
It's been the case, and they're pretty jealous, I guess, for lack of a better word. Just get right down to it. But yes, the other boards are really
envious sometimes.
They are, and there's a lot of frustration as a result because they cannot do the things that we can do together and working together. And it does make a tremendous
difference. Even though they're faced with the test scores and reading scores, they can't do the collaboration that we know that will make a big difference in our science of reading implementation. And thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Brings us to 11.
May I ask a question? Sure. So some of these resolutions are shorter time period than some of the others. Is that right?
Ms. Harris, some of them are, some of the resolutions, some of the time period is shorter than others.
Yes, because of the their approval cycle, so that's why the dates are different.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
But we're going to vote on them all next month.
Yes, sir.
So, yes, ma'am, I'm
Let's
sorry.
do 11, right?
Go ahead.
So next you have 3 programs that are different, but again, in essence of time, we've asked them to kind of come to the table together. So I think we have Stillman College, we have Troy University,
and
Tuskegee. So if y'all come on up. But you see now, this is a long list of programs. These are different programs. These are not reading programs. And so, Dr. Hampton, what if I turn it over to you?
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. I'll go a little slow this time. Thank you, Dr. Rebels. So today we have with us Troy University, Tuskegee University, and Stillman University. As part of the continuous improvement process where we have CHIP in the state of Alabama, we're in section 59 of our teacher education chapter code. It says that institutions, if they had not previously met all CHIP standards, would be afforded a site visit where the team would actually go onto the campus and we would ask to interview certain individuals. We would speak to those individuals. We would ask to see certain documents and we talk to them. The team went on the road October 13th as the first visit to Troy University. We followed Troy University's visit. We went to we went to Stillman College. After we went to Stillman College, we came back and went to Tuskegee. These have been the most eye-opening and enlightening visits for the entire team. We went in, talked to the dean. We talked to the assessment director. We talked to the certification director and field and clinical experiences director. We talked to the faculty group. And the faculty group did not only consist of faculty within the college or school of education, but they had faculty also that came in from the College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences to speak to us about their programs. Not just that, these institutions even had their provost to come in for the visits to speak to us about their programs. In addition to speaking to them, if they had only undergraduate programs, we talked only to that undergraduate student group. None of the administrators could be present during that time. And we talked to the graduate student group if they had graduate programs. We told them this was not a gotcha visit. We want to change them from being in a compliance monitoring perspective to truly being engaged in a continuous improvement process. Each of our institutions throughout Alabama are so authentically different. They have different things they need to work on. We have one institution in Alabama that has a 100% pass rate on every assessment. But when we look at their ACT scores, they're about a 28 on their average acceptance score. So that goes without reason. But we have other institutions where they struggle a little bit on some of the tests that they need to prepare them for. When we talked to the faculty, we looked at their documents from the quality assurance system. They talked to us about the changes they were making in their quality assurance system so that they could gather the data they need to be in that continuous improvement cycle. They talked about how they were changing their assessments that they were utilizing within programs so that they mirrored what they needed to collect. When we talked to the students told us those things that were heartbreaking for them as they matriculated through their programs, what they wish could change about education. They talked to us about wanting to be in the field more because they said we're learning a lot in the classes, but when we go out there in the field, it's frightening. and they literally did. They said, and then the other thing that was so heartwarming, they told us, I do this because I want to give back to a kid like somebody sold in me. For them to have just that visibility, to see that, for them to go into schools and say, I want to help that kid that can't get it. To let them know that you hadn't gotten it yet, that doesn't mean you won't ever get it. And these are things we heard from the students on these campuses. So it's with great pleasure that I turned over to our colleagues. I thank them again for the warm reception. I thank you for your transparency, and I thank you for your authenticity. And I'd like you to communicate to the board as they ask you questions about what we observed when we went to the visit. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Board members? Questions?
From Stillman College as the dean, what did you learn from the visit? She told us what they saw, but what's something maybe you learned? And each one of you, if you tell me perhaps what you learned from the visit of them coming in.
Well, as the dean of Stillman College, one thing that when Dr. Hampton and her team came was the idea that they got to meet with our students without me being present, because they walked in and I walked in behind them and they stopped me and said, no, it's just for them. But later on, it was their intense concern about field experience. I don't know if our certification officer knew, but I was shocked that it meant so much to them to actually get more experience in the classroom. Stillman College is located in Tuscaloosa, so we try to place our students in Tuscaloosa city schools in Tuscaloosa County schools. We have a few that are also in Hoover, Alabama, and Bessemer, Alabama. So for them to actually express to the state team that they want more field experience, more in-depth preparation before they even get in the school was an eye-opener for me.
Thank you. What about you, Nikki?
As a freshman dean, this is just my second year in this leadership role. I learned a lot about CAPE process because the visit that Dr. Hampton and her team conducted at Tuskegee University was very similar to what we have to expect when CAPE team is here next spring. The format, the steps, the questions were similar, and now the whole team at Tuskegee University, brand new team, all of our faculty are new faculty. So all of the team members now know what's the process, what to expect, and how to handle it. Not only from our side, but also from the student side. The way that state team communicated with our students actually show us where we have our strengths and weaknesses, what we need to improve, and where we need to develop maybe something new. So the team visit was very good experience, very positive experience for us. We had chance to ask a lot of questions, a lot of burning questions related to assessment, related to quality assurance system, and we also ask if team can share some details or experience from previous visits to other colleges, but before us it was only two. So we truly appreciate the visit from the state.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm the chair for teacher education. Dr. Pigliano had to be in Birmingham today. What we took from the visit was the timing was fantastic because they came 3 weeks before our CAPE visit.
Okay.
So, I mean, that was just like a dry run almost. But Dr. Hampton, in debriefing us at the very end, she reminded us the importance of closing the loop of continuous improvement. She said we were doing a lot of great things, but we had to remember that last point about when we change anything in the program, make sure we follow up and see how effective that change was. So it was just a nice reminder about it's great to be doing the right things, but the documentation of the effect is also very important.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Other board members?
I'm looking forward to seeing the results because I believe with us having this seamless collaboration, we'll see greater results from the students, especially with passing the practice reading, because we're being intentional. So I'm looking forward to seeing in the future how this will impact them and their success. Thank you. Awesome.
I appreciate your honesty and your authenticity. Very often, these types of discussions take on an air about them that's way up here, and it makes it very hard to understand and to really know what higher ed is focused on. And so I appreciate your transparency and authenticity with sharing the things that you want to improve, and that we were able, I'm very grateful that we were able to help impact your program, because we know that it will impact our classrooms through your students. So I just thank you for taking the time away from your professional life today to be with us, and congratulate you on the path forward that you have before you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, one thing I want to say, I would be remiss if I did not thank Dr. Hampton, Dr. Hawkins, and Dr. Walker, who did the site visit, because then Dr. Hampton and Dr. Walker turned around and were part of the state team for the CAPE visit that we just finished 2 days ago, and it was all good. So this board should be very proud of them. They are fantastic.
Well, thank you. Thank you for letting us know that. We appreciate you. Anything else for them?
No, ma'am.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Well, we're moving through the afternoon agenda more quickly than we did the morning. So you'll see now the next two are also kind of together. With these, we'll be appointing, Kathy Jones is right there if we have questions, but we are appointing 2 new course of study committees. So there's no report, but you got those. I know there were some questions about the representation and all. They work really hard. We make sure every board district's represented, every congressional district's represented. There will be, as I made an allusion this morning, that, a little bit of an issue with the new determined congressional seat 2, because we were already working on this for months. So I think it lines up still pretty well, but your representation is fine. You know, it doesn't affect you.
I do have a question about, it has Troy in District 3 for the board district, which is
now to Pike County.
But even from a board
Yeah.
district versus the congressional.
Kathy, if you want to come up and sit down in case there's any specific questions for you, but let me look at those things. Is that on the fine arts one or social studies?
Social studies, that just.
We'll get that fixed. It's
He's only have one.
so it is. So I'm looking down through there. Troy University.
Okay, so I will probably say that error was probably made because when we collect information from, we collect 2 addresses, and so we may inadvertently looked at the home address instead of the work address. And so thank you. Yes,
even if they drive to
yes.
Pike County.
Yes, so that I'm gonna guess that that's what happened there. Thank you.
I'm glad you thought about that.
Yeah,
So we'll double check that.
I mean, our spread, it's interesting because the information that, I try to only collect information from them one time, and in doing so, it becomes a big spreadsheet for me. So I'm gonna guess that that's what we did instead of.
But that's fine, if it's a constituent, so.
That's good.
But our protocol is to go by the work address and not the home address.
And then the same on both of them. So we would bring you both committees so they can get started to work right after the first of the year. This will be the first time in a long time that we've had 2 back-to-back core years. So I think we talked about last year. That's a huge lift for our staff. Ms. Jones, Sean Stevens back there, they do great work. They rely on these teachers and principals and superintendents to come in too. But social studies will be a big lift on right behind science, and we'll be doing science textbooks at the same time we do social studies course of study. And that's also that's a big undertaking, just in the amount of the number of meetings and and the rooms that it takes for both committees to be coming in. So, plus of course we'll have our career tech group, and we'll have art. So it'll be a big year. 2024 will be a massive year for us.
So we don't have career tech coming in.
We have career tech course of study group. Sorry. Right, not course of study, textbook group, textbook group, textbook group. We'll have science and career tech course of study, the textbook, and we'll have social sciences and arts course of study. So we'll have 4 groups working.
And Dr. Mackey, we have cross-referenced with the new congressional district now,
Oh,
so we have already done that this morning.
So these will come to you next month too, to approve, and then we would, we don't have any, there's no governor's appointees. Are the governor's appointees to these two? And then
There will be, but I have not received those names yet, so yes.
So there'll be some additional people. Some of you've asked about, especially for social studies, community folks and all, and those we refer to the governor's office, but we don't have those nominations yet.
Any
Okay.
other questions? Okay.
So 16, 17, 18, and 19 are all honorees. Our resolution for Computer Science Education Week, by the way, I think we've already announced this, but we moved up. The National Computer Science Conference was 2 weeks ago in Las Vegas, and we moved up. We are now number 4 in the nation in computer science.
Good deal.
So that was super to see. And so we'll probably make a big deal of that at the December meeting as we recognize this. And then Saraland Elementary School and Vernon Elementary School in Lamar County have won what we used to call the National Title I School Distinction. It's now National ESEA Distinguished School, but that's a huge deal too, and they're recognized nationally at the National ESEA conference, which I think is in Seattle. So we'll do a recognition for both of them. And then number 19 is for Corey Cunningham, who's our Milken winner this year. Dr. Richardson got to go with me so we could recognize her at Phillips Academy in Birmingham a couple of weeks ago.
That's great.
So those will be 4 recognitions for December. And then item 20 is a administrative code change. If you want to look at that, I realize it's 47 pages long, but it's on page 38, the change. So what we are asking you to do is codify the high school civics and financial literacy exams. So the civics exam, you know, has been required for some time. We've been requiring it for high school seniors to take it, or for high school students to take it. They have to make a 70 on it before graduation, and they can take it multiple times. But we never put it in the code. Realize this, when the financial literacy exam came along, we wanted to write rules around that. And so now our instructional services team's done an excellent job putting the 2 of these together. They've worked with Tina Hammonds over there and Sean Stevens. I don't even know who all worked on this, but they've done a really good job. I think it's because, and they're 2 different exams. So just remember, the civics exam, the law requires that they do have to pass it, though they can take it multiple times. The financial literacy exam, they don't have to pass, but they do have to take it, and we record the scores, so how many pass. So that's part of the report we'll make annually to you and to the legislature is the pass rate. They can also take it multiple times. Am I right about that? So my suspicion is that our teachers will, they're going to want to report good pass rates. So if the students don't do well, they'll kind of reteach and redo that work. That you've already changed the standards, because we had to change standards for these 2. Remember, we had to add new things to the career prep standards so it would be in line with the Literacy of Financial Literacy Act. So now this is the testing piece. So I know it's a lot. You may have seen it had a chance to look at it over the last week, but if there are questions, certainly welcome to ask them now, but you can ask them over the next few weeks too. I think they've done a pretty good job getting it all covered. But it is a 2-page change.
Dr. Mackey, if I can also just bring
Yes,
this to page 24 to also update the graduating class for the college and career readiness requirement.
Yes, page 24. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
You want to say anything else about that?
This just builds on what the board took action from in November of 2022 that would require students to earn a college and career readiness indicator in order to graduate. The legislature passed a law back in the spring that would actually it would go into effect sooner, and so we're making that change from those on page 24. The state board took action for the students who were 27, 28, but the state law now says 25, 26. Yes, I just want to make sure that those are the 2 changes that are reflected in that.
And we sent out communications for the schools to be aware of that at the
right.
time of the passage, but this is just changing the code.
Thank you. Thanks for catching that. Okay. Now 21 is back to all of you because that's our meeting and work session dates. We just picked the standard dates, second Thursday of every month, with the exception of July, when it's the second Tuesday. We put down the last Wednesday of January and the last Wednesday of August for retreats, as we've been doing for the last several years. Everybody seemed to think that was a good idea. So with that, I would only remind you that when we adopt this in December, we'll be about 6 weeks out from that first retreat. So we just need to kind of, we'll talk about topics and things y'all want to cover.
And one thing we had discussed, board members, and I would love your feedback, and you can call me or text me, but I thought potentially, because we'll be going into the next session, that might be a great opportunity for us to invite the leadership from the committees that focus on our work, especially with the conversation right now regarding school choice and various bills that were discussed at the end of last session that we already know are being discussed. I just thought it might be a really good opportunity for us to invite them to be with us at some point in the retreat. So if you have opinions about what part of the day you'd like to see that happen, even right down to what you would like for us to be discussing and sharing, I would like for Dr. Mackey to have that information sooner than later, because really all of that groundwork would need to be happening right now to prepare for January. So, anything else about that?
No, that's good.
Okay.
So it's 20, I know it's a long agenda, so the December regular meeting, could be pretty long. My updates, I really don't have anything else to add. I did want to make you aware of a couple of things as we go into the holiday season. Y'all know the holidays are coming up. Tomorrow is, of course, a state holiday. But the next several weeks, just thinking about the December board meeting, if you have questions, reach out to us. But we're in this situation now between the holidays, Thanksgiving holidays. Next week, I have 2 conferences out of state. Ms. Martin will be with me at one, but not the other. Some of the staff will be with me at the other one, but not the one. And then we have another meeting that some people are going to be at in Washington. We realize, our staff are not all going to be back together until the week before the board meeting, the December board meeting. So now we'll still, we're working, we can talk on the phone, we can email and all that. But as you have questions, if we can get them in so we can kind of coordinate if we have issues, especially the Thanksgiving week, because as y'all can imagine, lots of folks here are going to take leave time that week. So anyway, just be aware of that. The January meeting's kind of the same way. I've learned now the December and January meetings both, because between the December and January meeting, there's 2 weeks in there that's kind of Christmas break. A lot of our support staff take off. A lot of people go on family vacations, and so it's just hard to generate things between meetings. So the sooner we know kind of things that you're thinking about or questions, we can get answers back to you in an efficient manner. I can't think of anything else. Glad that everybody came down for last night. I appreciate that. I know Sally really appreciated it. She told me this morning how much she appreciated having everybody here. So.
I thought it went very well.
Right. Yeah.
In other business, board members, you've received superintendent's evaluation instrument. These 4 binders, should you wish to review, are by quarter superintendent's work last year. Obviously, that's so large that we cannot provide each of you today a copy of that, but certainly it's here for you to go through that if you need to. I think that's proof that Dr. Mackey is a very busy individual.
I can't believe you got it in 4 documents.
4 binders. Right.
We are going to provide you an electronic copy.
Right. Thank you. Because I don't want
Which will be on 3 terabytes.
So I do want to remind you, if you don't mind putting in your electronic calendars or wherever you remind yourself and put an alarm, this is due not in the mail, it is due back December 1st. And with the holidays coming in, upon us so quickly, and all of us have lots of commitments. I just want to make sure that his evaluation has priority to be in by the 1st of December. Maybe not, maybe that was it.
I can't think of anything.
Okay. Okay. I thank y'all so much. I know this was a lot today, but it absolutely had to get done. Appreciate your attention. Appreciate everyone in the department, media, staff being here for this long day. And I wish you a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
And a safe holiday. Thank you. We're adjourned.
I thought it was something else.
I'm not going by myself.
That's a visual. I'm almost asking you to remind them what it is. Thank you.